Hey everybody, welcome back to Falk Farm. So today we're going to go over how to realign beds once they've shifted over time. On the farm, we use a 30-inch bed system. So what you'll see here is we have it staked out. We have a 30-inch bed and then an 18-inch path. That gives us a total of 4 feet with one bed and one path, and is about the right amount of space to be able to walk and reach across the bed. So that's a nice convenient size for a farm this size. As you're working these beds, they'll shift. So as you can see here, the path has kind of moved over as we worked the bed and worked the compost. And now this bed is a little off its original position. So what I've done is put in stakes and masonry twine to reestablish that position of the bed and keep them from creeping further over time. Really, this is something that I would like to do every year or two. These beds are a few years old, so it's about time to do it. Another thing that I think I'm going to be changing as my practice in the future is just leaving these stakes in place. The downside is that they can be something maybe somebody can trip over, but because they're on the corners of the bed, people hopefully aren't walking there anyway. And I do keep them low, so it's unlikely for the dogs to run over them and get into trouble. So we're going to try keeping them in place so it'll be easier to see where the beds are in the future. But if you do decide to take them out, it's relatively easy to put them back into position using a template rod, and I'll show you that next. So what I have here is a standard piece of electrical conduit, and I've marked out the positions where the stakes will go along the conduit. On one side, other side, I've also marked the halfway point, which a lot of times when I put in a high tunnel, the high tunnel post would land here, and then I would only have 8 inches to the first stake. The stakes are always put in on the path side, moving into the path. So the distance from here to here are 30 inches, and then the stake goes into the path for a total distance from here to here is 18 inches. This lets me line up this post and then very quickly put in the stakes without having to individually measure each one over and over again. It also helps me put them in a straight line because the conduit is laying on the ground there. So that speeds up the process getting the stakes in a little bit. So once we have the stakes and the masonry twine in, I'm going to start moving the soil into the bed wherever it's out of the path, and that'll help us start to correct it. Down on the end, where it's largely off, I'll move some of the soil that's in the path on this side over to where it should be on the other side and balancing out the bed. I like to use one of these standard square shovels for this. The way it cuts on the edge helps me get a nice crisp line. And as I go, I'm just reestablishing that line. I'm also pulling a little bit of the rotted wood chips from the path back up on top of the bed. Some people may worry about the wood chips locking up nitrogen, but because I'm just putting them on the surface or in with a little bit of dirt on the surface, that's not much of an issue. It may lock up a little nitrogen right on the top layer, but down where the roots are, it'll be fine. And when those wood chips finish decomposing, it will release that nitrogen. So in a way, it's giving me a slow release nitrogen at the top of the bed. So that's the process. After a little bit of breaking to get it level, we now have a nice, high, even bed. Didn't take too long, a little bit of work, good exercise, fresh air. What more could you ask for?